All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Give everyone a few minutes to trickle in. And as we start doing that, I'm going to do some intros and some housekeeping to get everyone going. So, first of all, thank you so much for joining us. We're so glad you could be here for today's workshop, How to Customize AI Scribe with Prompts That Work. So I'm Destin, Jane's Director of Community. If you've joined us before, you know these sessions are meant to be a space to learn something new, try things out, and connect with each other. And hopefully we've had a chance to connect before. But before we dive in, you can see on your screen we have a question for you. We'd love to hear which part of charting would you most like AI Scribe to help you with. So pop down to the chat, flip that to everyone so everyone can see it, and let us know what part of charting would you most like AI Scribe to help you with. And as you are adding that to the chat, I'm going to continue on with some housekeeping. So now that I've had a chance to say hello, as you're in the chat, we'd also love for you to say hello. So we want to hear what you think about AI Scribe and what you want the help with, but we'd also love to know where you're joining from, what your role is in your practice, and what your discipline or specialty is. And as you're doing that, I'd love to share few quick notes to set the stage for today's session. So as always, we are here to help. Our team is active in the chat. So if you run into any questions or tech hiccups, feel free to reach out and we will be there to help you out. We've got members of the Jane team. You've probably already seen them in there chatting, here to help you out. And as I already mentioned, make sure to change your chat setting to everyone. It defaults to hosts and panelists, which is great. We obviously love seeing your chats, but we would love it if everyone in the session can see your questions and your comments so that we can all participate together. And then we'll be answering some of the questions you shared at registration throughout the session. We've taken that feedback, we've taken those questions, and we've layered them into today's session. But you can also add or upvote questions anytime in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. Feel free to pop stuff into chat, but Q&A is definitely the best place to make sure that we see those questions and we can integrate them throughout the session. And like I said, think about upvoting or adding comments or anything to any existing questions so that we can know which ones are the most important to the widest number of people in today's session. And then, as always, and you would have got that notice when you joined, today's session is being recorded. So don't worry about missing anything. We'll email you the replay after we wrap up so you can revisit the session at the pace that works best for you, share it with anyone else in your clinic, or just dig into one section that maybe you found to be the most impactful or helpful. All right. So the next part is, if you missed our first session in the series, we did another webinar on AI Scribe a few weeks back. We'll drop a link into the chat so you can check it out later today. In that session, we took a deep dive into privacy and security, how Jane protects your data, and what happens behind the scenes when you use AI Scribe. So it's a great complementary session to this session. So definitely have them both, and you can go back and revisit any sessions from either of them at any time. In that first session, we were also joined by Sean Overin, a multidisciplinary clinic owner who shared how his team had been using AI Scribe day to day. So it's a great conversation that covers both the technical side and the practitioner's real-world experience, plus some really great Q&A at the end. So I do recommend giving it a try, even if you want to just jump to the Q&A part. Super, super valuable. And so now we are into our next session in the series. So today we'll be exploring how to customize AI Scribe prompts. Right now, AI Scribe is available in Canada and the US. So if you're joining us from outside of those regions, we're super glad you're here and welcome. And please do stay if you want to. But we just wanted to make it clear that it's currently only available in Canada and the US. But there are lots of things you can still learn in here that will be valuable. And the ideas and workflows we're covering today can be applied to other AI tools as well. And your feedback and interest help us shape where AI Scribe goes next. So, all right, we're almost there. We're almost going to get into the content you've all been waiting for. Just a few little more pieces from me. So to help guide us, we're joined by two of our in-house AI Scribe experts. We've got Alex Shevchenko. He's Jane's Senior Development Manager. His team is the one building AI Scribe. So really, really the right person to have in this session. And he's got a lot of great insights and information to share. And then we're also joined by Lauren Hetherington, one of our product specialists and another person that spends a lot of time chatting about and learning and deep diving into AI Scribe with our customers. So she spends her days connecting with our clinics as they explore and learn AI Scribe. And so honestly, you could not have two better people at Jane guiding you through this session. And then I'm just here as your host, but I am not nearly as informed or helpful as they are. So together, Alex and Lauren are going to bring both the builder's view and the everyday clinic perspective. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to our host to kick us off, and then I'll be back throughout the session, maybe to help bring some of your questions in, and then to wrap us up at the end. So with that, Alex and Lauren, take it away.
Thanks, Destin. Hi, everybody. So today we are going to be talking about one of my most favorite features in Jane, AI Scribe. AI Scribe is designed to save you time on admin so you can stay present and connected with your patients and clients during appointments. AI Scribe automatically creates smart notes from your recorded or uploaded audio, and because it lives safely inside Jane, it's fully HIPAA and PIPEDA compliant, and it's held to the same high privacy and security standards as the rest of Jane. Think of the scribe as your trusty note-taking assistant. Through your custom pre-built prompts, it reflects your style. So once you finish dictating or uploading your recording, it'll generate a structured note that reflects how you practice. As Destin mentioned, today we'll walk through Jane's default prompts, how to customize a prompt, and we'll see the impact small adjustments make when we experiment in live demos. You might be wondering, what is a prompt? Well, I'll hand it over to Alex to kick us off with what a prompt actually is.
Thanks, Lauren, and hi, everybody. Let's start with the basics. A prompt is simply the instruction you give to AI Scribe. Think of it like telling a colleague how you'd like your note written. The words you choose shape what comes back. Prompts matter because they set the tone, the level of detail, and even the format. If you want bullet points instead of paragraphs or shorter summary instead of a full soap note, it all starts with the prompt. And the reason we spend time customizing prompts is that every discipline and practitioner works a little differently, right? Some prefer shorter notes, others need more detail. Some want patient-friendly language. Prompts let you shape notes to fit your exact needs. And that is the foundation we'll build on today. Jane starts you off with built-in prompts we call Smart Soap. They are designed as a safe and structured starting point. And by the way, I think it was already mentioned, but before we jump into the demo, just quick reminder, the session is being recorded, so we'll email you the recording afterwards. You can follow along now and come back later at the pace that works best for you, maybe once you have your Jane account open. So stay tuned for the recording as well.
Thanks, Alex. So let me show you how we get started. So I'm signed in to our Jane demo account as the account owner today. AI Scribe can be toggled on per practitioner under Settings, AI Scribe. Now, if you don't see this option and you'd like to use AI Scribe, you'll want to reach out to the account owner or a full access user to enable this for you. AI Scribe can be added to your account for $15 a month per practitioner. Now, I'm going to head into our patients chart area and start a new chart. So I'll click on Patients, select my patient, click on their chart, and then select New Chart Entry. You'll see two options here. I can either use our Smart Soap template with pre-created generic prompts for each section, or I can add my own prompt from the note component. For now, let's see what kind of an output we can generate using our Smart Soap note, which again is Jane's built-in structure for chart notes. You'll notice here when I open up the chart, I have the microphone at the top here. And what I'll do now is I'm going to upload a short recording into our AI Scribe. When working with clinics, I've noticed that the same audio can generate very different notes depending on how the prompt is worded. Even a small change like asking for a shorter summary can make a really big difference. We'll jump into how to customize these notes shortly. All right, here we go. So the recording has finished processing with our smart soap prompt. You can see that the AI Scribe has created a structured chart note with clear sections for the subjective, objective, assessment, and plan. If I were to switch to a different default prompt, the same recording would give a slightly different style of note. And that shows you how even the smallest of prompt changes can shape the output.
And that is the value of prompting. Starting with a smart soap gives you a baseline. And from there, you can explore and adjust to match your own workflow. Now that you've seen the defaults, let's talk about why you might want to customize. Customizing prompts is about making AI Scribe work the way you work. It's not about doing more, it's about doing it your way. That could mean saving time on shorter visits, adjusting the tone to fit your discipline, or making your notes easier for patients or colleagues to understand. We've put together a guide with some sample prompts you can try. I think we'll drop that in the chat so you can bookmark it for later as well.
So, just like Alex mentioned, to show the difference small changes can make, we're going to take a look at 3 behavioral health prompts side by side. And I definitely recommend taking a screenshot or a photo of the screen. On the left is a getting started prompt. It gives you something, but it leaves out a lot of important detail and it's fairly basic. On the right is a finding your flow prompt. It's clearer and closer to what you'd want every day with more direction and structure. And then finally, here we have our dialed in prompt. This one is strong and it's ready to use. We've added even more details like specific instructions to ensure content aligns with specific therapy principles and extra detail to format the structure by adding directions such as limit no more than 4 bullet points.
This shows how prompting grows with you, right? You don't need to get it perfect on the first try. Each small adjustment makes the output more useful for your workflow.
I'll leave this up on the screen for a few more moments here, so if you would like to take a screenshot of it, you can do so. All right, let's try one live. So depending on your discipline, Jane also includes default prompts that match your practice style, whether you're a physiotherapist, a counselor, or a massage therapist. You can find these in the template library where you can filter for AI Scribe enabled templates to explore what's available in your field. So let's go and explore. We'll head up to the Staff tab at the top, click on your name, and then click on Templates. Over on the right, you'll see the template library, where you can see all of our templates are filtered by discipline. I'm going to select the counseling discipline, and then I'll pop over here, and where we see the templates from counseling with any features, I'll change this and select AI Scribe. We'll now see that there's 82 templates from the counseling discipline with AI Scribe prompts. I'm now going to go and build my own template. So once again, I'll be in my staff profile, click on my name, click on templates, and I'll come over here and create my own template using the new template button. I'll select add item, and then I'm going to select the note component. By clicking on the pencil up the top, I can give my template a name. And then to add the prompt into my template, I can either hover over the note and click directly into it, or as I hover over the note, you'll see 3 dots appear on the right-hand side. I can click on these and click the pencil to edit the item. Firstly, you'll want to make sure you toggle the template over to AI Scribe, and then you can enter your prompt. You're also able to choose the format of your note, whether you'd rather it in point or a narrative form, and you can also give your prompt a test run and see what the generation will be. Once you've created your prompt, you can hit save, and then you'll want to head back into your patient's profile and their chart area where you can add your getting started template. So I'll come back over to patients, back into the chart area, back into the new chart entry, and then I'll select my getting started template. Now you can choose to start recording the appointment from here, but today I'm going to upload an audio file of a dictation of a counseling session.
Thanks, Lauren. Maybe while that's loading, let's do a quick check-in. We've seen how to use default SOAP node, how to create your own custom prompt, where to find a template library. How's everyone feeling? I see there's some interaction, some questions in the chat, but maybe drop a quick emoji or reaction. You're feeling great and ready for more. Maybe you're starting to get some ideas or inspiration from this. Maybe you'd like to revisit something that Lauren went over. Let us know. And we'll be getting into some more experimentation and customization next. So this is a great time to take a bit of a pause and make sure we're all feeling good before we keep building.
Thanks, Alex. I'm really looking forward to getting into our experimentation phase and seeing what outputs we get. But here is our new note. So, firstly, you can see it's a lot shorter and easier to scan, but it's probably leaving a few things out. So why don't we now try our Finding Your Flow prompt. I'll head back to the New Chart Entry button, and then I'll scroll down in my chart templates to my Finding Your Flow, and I'll go ahead and upload the same recording as before, and we'll wait for the generation and we can compare the two. While we're waiting for the generation, Destin, how's the chat looking? Lots of good prompts and questions coming up?
Yeah, we're having lots of great questions. Our team is doing a really fantastic job jumping in there and answering, which I love to see. But there's a few sort of initial questions I think might be interesting to answer as we go back. So there was a couple questions around what if they wanted to upload written notes? So instead they like write it down. Can our AI deal with that? Or how might we recommend if you have written notes you wanted to put in, would the best approach maybe to dictate that into AI Scribe instead of trying to upload written notes? Because what's that functionality like?
Alex?
Yeah, I can maybe speak to that. Yeah, I think dictation would be your best course of action as of now. As technology evolves and we're keeping an eye on other feature requests, but as of now, I would say it's fairly quick and easy um, to dictate the prompt and get the recording into our system that way.
Perfect. And that sort of dovetails into the other question, which is how to actually record the session. So what are the options within Jane? And then if you wanted to do it outside of Jane, like with a phone or something else, how do you, Lauren, tell people how to record on for AI Scribe?
Yeah, great question, Destin. So, as we were showing here, we do have the microphone at the top of the chart template when it's AI Scribe. So, when you hit record audio, you're using the audio with either your phone, your iPad, your laptop, and you're able to record up to 90 minutes of a session. Now, that if you have the consent from the patient or client, you can record the session, or what we're using here is actually a dictation of the session by the practitioner at the end. So I've just actually opened up the transcript so you can see the dictation here. Now, if you decide to record on, say, a dictaphone or something outside of Jane and save it as a file on your device, you are able to upload that recording as well. So you don't need to just simply record within the AI Scribe tool. You can bring something from outside of Jane.
Awesome. And then there was a couple questions that I just wanted to address. People are asking, would the session be recorded and will we send that out afterwards? And yes, this full recording will be available for you. We'll send it in a replay. And I think there was a couple questions for people who didn't get to screenshot that prompt in time. So I think we could also include an image of that in the follow-up email as well. And then we might be getting to this later, but if not, there's just been a couple questions around confidentiality for the recordings and privacy and security around that. So if we're going to get to that later, great. But if not, if you want to maybe cover that, and that will be the last question for now, and then you can move on.
Yeah, I can speak to maybe the where those settings are, and then Alex can talk more about the kind of storage and things like that. So within our settings, AI Scribe, you'll see down the bottom here, you have the option to choose your recording deletion policy. So I've just changed ours to keep the files indefinitely so I can show you the transcript, but you also have the option to delete the files immediately after a successful generation. Alex, perhaps you can speak a bit more to kind of the storage and
Yeah, well, as we mentioned already, like AI Scribe follows the same rules and compliance as the rest of Jane, so we take, our security and privacy very seriously. And sometimes, I see some use cases where people, go put some notes and some other or recordings through some other tools and then put them back in Jane and or maybe even using like LLMs like ChatGPT and put the customer data there. That always gets me worried, and that's the benefit of having Jane as a platform that where you can have everything in one place and with the appropriate level of security for our health practitioners.
absolutely, thank you. And Destin, I think a huge thing to highlight for our community as well is that Jane does not use any of the data from the recordings to train our LLMs, which are our large language models. So all of that information is not being taken elsewhere and training them. So that's a huge thing for people to note as well as to how we can remain HIPAA and PIPEDA compliant. Alrighty. Let's pop back in and have a look at that output that we got here. So here's the new note. So you can see that with the new note that we've got a new output that reflects the therapy principles we've included in our prompt. So as we compare the two, we've got our very kind of basic one sentence note, but now here, more robust, more information, and more grounded in those principles. And that's the benefit of customizing. You can start with a default, make small changes, and then end up with prompts that save time and make it feel like your own.
Let's talk about experimenting with prompts. Experimenting helps you figure out what works best for your own style and discipline, and it can unlock new use cases. And sometimes trying something that doesn't quite work is the best way to learn how to refine your prompt. Lauren, do you have any stories from the phones like that?
I sure do, Alex. Back in the early days of AI Scribe, which believe it or not was probably only about 3 months ago, uh, the clinic called in asking about spelling. They wanted their notes written in Canadian English instead of US English. So we tested a prompt together that asked AI Scribe to use Canadian spelling, and it worked right away. That small tweak saved them from having to manually edit every chart.
I love that. Yeah, it shows how small adjustments can make a big difference. There are lots of things you can try, like changing the tone, shortening a note, or yeah, switching spelling such as Canadian or US English. You can also set up a chart with multiple sections and see how prompts fill each of those sections. And we actually noticed the same thing in our own testing, where we gathered some of those examples in AI Scribe Guide as a result. Well, I think we'll share that in the chat as well. And if you want to test one of those prompts now or follow along as we try a few new ones together, maybe this is a good time to open AI Scribe in your own Jane account if you like, and we'll dive into some more experimentation.
Yeah, let's do it. So, if you do want to open up Jane in your browser, what we're going to do now is we're going to do some experimenting together. So we're going to start with a physiotherapy prompt that we've taken from our sample prompts in our Jane prompt guide. So for this one, you'll find that on our Jane.app under those sample prompts. And then here, we're going to start in the patient's chart area. So we'll be in the chart and we're going to click New Chart Entry, and we're going to create a quick prompt from the note area. So I'll select note. Now you'll see here, I don't have my microphone, so it's not set up as an AI Scribe chart note yet. So we can hover over the note and you'll see 3 dots on the right-hand side. And if I click on those and then click on the pencil, I'm able to edit my item. First thing we'll want to do is make sure that we toggle it over to AI Scribe, and then we're going to add our prompt in. Now, you'll notice a few key details with this prompt. First of all, it's a lot longer than any of the other ones we've done before, but it's very directive. You are a physiotherapist writing a soap style note. Include the following sections with prompts for each separate section. It also has a tone and formatting guide. It's also requesting a patient report, primary concerns with one symptom the patient is most concerned about, a history of primary concerns, and it's asking for a pain presentation and a skin assessment. What we'll do is we'll save that here. We'll now see that we have the AI Scribe with the microphone, and I'm going to upload a dictation of a physio appointment. While this loads, Alex, could you maybe tell us a story you heard in the community about how AI Scribe can help with things other than just notes?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, one comes to mind. I heard from a physiotherapist who created a home exercise prompt. They set it up so that it gives the name of the exercise, the description of how it's done, and includes sets, reps, and frequency in a format that is ready to just copy and paste into an email to send directly to the client.
I love that. That would be such time saver. Wow. All right. Thanks, Alex. So it looks like our chart is ready. So you'll see here we still have our subjective assessment, objective assessment and plan, but we also now have our patient report, that one main primary concern, right knee pain during running, the history of primary concerns, and the pain. So for the next one, we're going to do a little bit more experimenting, and we're actually going to add some additions to our prompt that was shared by a member in our Facebook community group. And I think they're attending the webinar today. So thank you very much. This prompt has a few extra directive pieces that we can add in. And when we add those in, it'll be great to see the difference that the two notes have. So once again, thank you to our community member that allowed us to share their extra add-ons to the prompt. So what I'm going to do here is a nice quick shortcut. So I'll sign my chart note, and then down at the bottom of my signed chart note, you'll see that I can click on the gear icon here and duplicate my chart entry. Now, this means while I duplicate all of my chart notes, I also duplicate my prompt. So I can once again hover over that box, click on the three dots, click on the pencil, and you'll see my prompt ready to go. So I'm going to scroll to the bottom, and I'm going to add the language that the community member shared with us. So a few things to highlight here. We have some extra direction. Never come up with your own patient details, assessment plan, intervention, and evaluation. Only use the transcript as a reference. If any information is not mentioned, do not come up with your own. Now, this is my personal favorite of the prompt, and this is what I love. At the end of the subsections, the community member has given direction for certain language. So mechanism of injury to be written as a narrative paragraph, but aggravating factors to be listed as bullet points. They've also included some language tweaks. So rather than weight bearing, we see WB, ROM for range of motion, P for pain, R for right, L for left. So let's save this prompt and let's see the difference. We'll go again to the microphone. We'll upload the same recording of the physio appointment. And remember, while we're waiting, we're looking for a few different updates. We're expecting to see ROM, P for pain, R for right, and L for left. If you're testing your own prompts right now, we'd love to hear what you're seeing. So please feel free to share your results in the chat, or you can also share them in the community. Destin, are we getting any good prompt examples?
Still lots of questions about using AI Scribe, which is great. I think people are still processing the prompt and what we're working on. Someone asked just recently, because this is a lot to take in, this is new for a lot of people. Are they able to call into support and have someone help them get AI Scribe set up? Is that something we offer?
Yes, that is definitely something we offer. So you can call in, chat in, send through an email. We can walk you through getting it set up. We can help you build your prompts. We can direct you to our prompt library. We can share some prompts that we're hearing from members of our community. So please do feel free to reach out, and you may get me on the end of the phone.
Hmm. Amazing. And I think you'd mentioned another great place, especially around prompting, is to ask the community, because you can find other practitioners in your discipline specifically looking for the same things and share tips and tricks. We've already seen that. Alex called out an example that we've seen. And so we'll share a link to that as well. And then Mike asked specifically, can we edit the prompt snippets? So he's saying, I think this would be such a valuable addition instead of having snippets that aren't pertinent to my practice. So Alex, any thoughts on that?
Uh, Prompt snippets, yeah, I think this is something Lauren went over, but I wonder if it's something you want to pull up real quick as well. So yeah, this is what Lauren showed earlier, that you can change this prompt snippet either through the pre-configured settings that we have, or put your own in as well. I hope I understood the question correctly. If not, again, feel free to reach out and we'll be able to expand on that as well. And then the links we shared to the guide and to some of the examples will hopefully help wrap our heads around that as well.
And
Yeah, thank you. You go ahead,
Mike,
Lauren.
oh, sorry, Justin. I was just going to say if you have some suggestions of prompt snippets that you would like us to add, let us know and we can definitely let the development team know your suggestions.
Mhm. And then I just wanted to call out one more. There was a really lovely comment from Ash that in the chat was just saying that it might seem difficult or time consuming in the beginning. And this is maybe a lot of people's like first introduction or first time thinking about prompts. And so we're really giving you this basis information, this foundational information. You might have to watch it again. You might have to call in, read some more information, but we're really trying to give you some foundational work. And Ash said, it's saving me so much charting time. Once you start working with it, it gets much easier. And there was a lot of like thankful comments in the chat. So I wanted to first say thanks, Ash, for sharing that feedback. And just we are here to help. I know this might seem for some people like it's going fast or there's a lot of information. So we're going to send the recording. We've got resources on the guide. You've got the community. You've got our team. And we are here to help you. If you want to use AI Scribe and you want to figure out how to make it work for your practice, we are going to give you all the resources you can. So don't hesitate to ask more questions. And one more thing, there was a couple comments about how much great resources and information there is already in the chat and Q&A. So we'll do our best to pull all that together for you as well so that you don't lose any of it. So don't worry about trying to read the chat and follow along as well. We are going to get you all that information.
Absolutely. And I can't tell you how many times I've been at a conference on the end of the phone and someone has been crying with how much time it's saved them. They're able to go to their kids' hockey game, they're able to get out of work on time. And this is really all about giving you time back for yourself, more time to spend with your family or your clients. And so, what we just recommend is we're here to help and we'll get you there. So, alrighty. So we have our output from our extra direction from our community member. So let's have a look here. So the first few things that jump out to me are knee P, right knee pain. We have our range of motion is now ROM. You can see how this one feels different. It's more cohesive, it's streamlined, and it includes important context. And that is the beauty of prompts. You control the output depending on the prompt you give the scribe. Now, Alex, I know your team has been working on some very exciting updates behind the scenes. Are we able to maybe share a quick look at what's coming next?
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to give you some of the quick peek before we wrap up. We're working on tons of new features that some of them will make AirScribe more accessible to everyone, such as this on AirScribe and online appointments. We're going to bring all the value of in-person AirScribe to our one-on-one online appointments, so you can generate high-quality notes from virtual sessions and completely hands-free. It's right now in small closed beta, and we'll be expanding it soon. So if you'd like some early access to this feature, we'll share a link in the chat where you can share your interest, and we'll reach out to you when the time comes. Thank you very much. And another exciting feature we have is for those who are just getting started with AI Scribe. We're rolling out a free tier of AI Scribe that will give you 5 notes every month. No extra cost, no pressure to commit, and just a simple way to try it out and see how it fits into your real workflow. And if you love it, you can upgrade to unlimited notes. If you want to keep learning and testing it out, you can stay with AScribe free. So that's coming out throughout the course of this week. Stay tuned for that. And keep in mind that the experimenting you are doing now will help you get the most out of these and other new updates to AScribe as they roll out. So every prompt you test and refine today builds skills that will carry forward as AI Scribe continues to grow. We've covered a lot today, and it's been great to see so many of you join us and learn, test ideas, send your reactions, chat in the chat, and explore prompting together. So to recap, start with Jane's defaults, customize them to fit your needs, and keep experimenting. The more you play with prompts, the more confident you will feel using AI Scribe in your daily charting. If you would like to keep exploring, we will share a link in the chat to our main AI Scribe guide, and it has everything in one place to help you keep learning and practicing.
All right, so that is it for our session for now. I'm going to go through a little bit of end of session housekeeping. There are a ton of questions that we got today, so thank you so much for everyone for participating. We will do our best to answer as many as those we can, share that to everyone in our follow-up communication. And again, lots of these questions, please do follow up with our team directly to get answers to your questions. We try as hard as we can. Our team tries as hard as we can to answer as many questions in the session live. But I wanted to say thank you so much to Alex and Lauren. Thank you for spending your time with us today, everyone that joined us. It's always so inspiring to see so many of you show up and learn and experiment and share ideas together. As you continue exploring AI Scribe beyond today, remember, I've already said this a few times, but you are not on your own. Our support team is here to help you 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday, by phone, email, and live chat. And we love AI, but we also know there's nothing like getting a quick, thoughtful response from a real human who understands exactly what you need. And so you'll see a quick poll pop up on your screen shortly, and we'd love to hear your feedback on today's session and hear what you'd like to learn next. So we know there are maybe other topics on AI or other things in Jane. So let us know. We love building these sessions with you. We love making sure we're answering your questions. So please do fill out the poll when it pops up. It's so helpful for us. And then I did also want to give a prompt, and just use that word again, not the AI style prompt, just a regular prompt for you to join our Jane community if you have not yet. So we have a fantastic Facebook group with over 20,000 members in it, and we would love for you to join us there. This is a really great place to join and continue the conversation around really specific questions you might have around your own discipline or your practice and AI or anything really. It's a really great place to connect. So please do join us there. You get really speedy answers in there as well, just like you do at Jane from community members, sometimes within minutes. So it's really a phenomenal place to join. So highly recommend you join us there and check it out. And now I think we've got a few minutes left. I know some people probably have to pop off, and so please do head out if you have to. I know everybody's got a busy day, and we really appreciate you taking the time to join us in any session that you do. We know how valuable your time is, and we love seeing you here. So pop off if you have to. The session is being recorded. We will be sending the recording around, but we wanted to cover a few more questions while we have time, while we have everybody here. So I am going to pull some up. I think the team has flagged up a few that might be good to answer. So just give me 1 second while I look and see. So earlier on in the beginning, I think I covered this a little bit with the community, but Phaedra was asking for some ideas and inspiration. She would love to know how to pull information not in the dictation. So things like treatment goals, parents' names, etc. So looking for some inspiration around that if we have any.
Yeah, I would say again, if it's not within the dictation is basically kind of where that information is. So you if you want to put the parents' names in, you can go in and edit the note afterwards. But if you're not mentioning the names, it's not going to come through, and you would have to make a very directive prompt because the AI right now is kind of prompted to not use names and just refer to people as the patient or the client. So I always recommend if you think it, say it. So either if it's kind of you're struggling to say it because it's feeling quite robotic, add it into the prompt. So if the prompt's doing something it's not supposed to do, tell it not to do that. But if it's not doing something you want it to do, then make sure you direct it to do that.
And then I saw questions. So just wanted to go back to AI Scribe for virtual appointments. So Sarah was saying right now we cannot use AI Scribe for virtual appointments. Can we go back and just sort of re-explain what we talked about with what's coming up?
Yes, so as I mentioned, we are experimenting with it in the closed beta and making sure that we deliver, continue to deliver high quality product to you all. So if you're interested to taking a peek at it early, and yeah, like the thing that we did share a link to the sign up guide, but also feel free to reach out to us later. to ask about it. But the plan is to, yeah, have it available to a broader community sometime soon.
Excellent. And then it came up a few times, and I think we touched on it briefly, but maybe can we just cover consent a little bit, patient consent? I think we covered that in our first session as well. So again, if anyone wants to go back and watch that, we'll share the link. But just Lauren, just can we cover a little bit about patient consent around AI Scribe?
Yeah, absolutely. So we always want to make sure we get consent from our patients and clients. So we recommend either creating a separate consent form or building it into your intake form. And you do have to give people the voice and choice for that. So they have to either say yes or no. And then once you do gain that consent, we also recommend getting verbal consent at the start of each appointment or session, because I may be fine with you using it normally, but then I have a really bad day, or I'm talking about something extremely sensitive and I just don't want to have the AI that day. So just starting each session when you hit the recording with, and just to get your consent that I'm using AI to record our session today. You can use that language around that it's not being trained, the data is not being used to train our LLMs, it's deleted, it's fully HIPAA and PIPA compliant. And we always recommend reaching out to your governing body for language to include in your consents, because each discipline and even each province and state have different regulations around that.
Yeah, that was the thing I was going to flag up as well. Yeah, make sure you chat with your governing body. I just saw an interesting question pop up, which is from Hallie. Can you pause the recording during a session when maybe the client or the patient wants to have a private moment, or you're talking about something that's maybe not relevant? Can you pause that, and how does that affect the recording in the session?
Yeah, great question. You can pause it at any time. You've got 90 minutes. So you can give it a pause so they can compose themselves. And another way I see a lot of practitioners using it is they'll record the session, they'll pause the recording to take payment, book the next appointment, and then they'll actually come back and unpause the recording and then add in their own findings at the end. So that could be going back to, was it Priya that mentioned before? That could be something you just add in to the end of your recording, and my patients' names today were Peter and John, and here's my treatment recommendations for them.
Awesome. And I think we had a couple questions around this one. So, thoughts on using the duplicate function while using AI Scribe so we can see what we did with the patient in the last visit?
Alex, you can take this one maybe.
So just to understand the question correctly, they want to copy the transcript or the prompt itself?
I think it was, when I duplicated the chart and we deleted what was already in the note, but the prompt had duplicated. I have a feeling it's kind of speaking into the ability to maybe do like a follow-up from the previous by duplicating.
Right. Yeah. So you can, just as Lauren mentioned and showed earlier, feel free to revisit the recording to see how she did it. But basically, you can clone the sign chart, and when you do that, it would have that prompt still saved. You can make modifications to it, and then you can upload the same or even a different recording to that new chart.
Yeah, that's a big question we get as well, whether the AI, when you build the prompt, can summarize the previous appointment when you do duplicate it. So at the moment, not right now, but I know there is a feature request for it. Hopefully somebody in the chat would be able to find that feature request and drop it in. Otherwise, feel free to reach out or check our feature requests under your need help section in your Jane account and add your vote to that one, because I know that's something that we are kind of giving the feedback to Alex and the team about. It's a big ask within our community.
Yeah, I would love to hear from you.
Awesome. And I see there's a couple of questions around the Facebook group link. So I think we've updated that in the chat so people can join. The previous webinar will include a link to that in the follow-up email, but feel free to pop over to our YouTube channel. You can just pop over to YouTube and search Jane app, and it will come up and you'll be able to see all of our recordings from all of our previous sessions on there, but we will also email it to you directly as well. All right, a couple more questions. I know, like I said, everybody's busy, and also putting Alex and Lauren on the hot seat like this, I really appreciate it. I think everyone does as well. So thank you so much. So we had a question from Astrid who said, I have a very specific template I use that contains a mix of text and checkboxes. Is there a way to use my existing template and prompt it to check the boxes for things like presenting themes?
Not at the moment. Again, we'll see where technology goes moving forward. Right now, AI Scribe works primarily and exclusively with text when it comes to the output. That being said, you can set up different note like sections and notes, and depending on exactly how those checkboxes are structured and what kind of information holds behind them, maybe it's a matter of creating a separate smart section to get that information and then put it into another section with checkboxes. Like I encourage you to be creative and find ways that work for you. But the output of the smart node itself would be the text, would not interact with some of the more complex elements as of today.
And Astrid,
Oh,
I would suggest as well, grab that template, feed it through ChatGPT, and ask ChatGPT to write you a note-based prompt. And there will be some direction in there. So rather than a check for yes or no, it could just say, was so and so present? Why was this present? And so we're just kind of recreating the checkbox, but within the note parameters. But I have no shame in saying that I use ChatGPT to generate prompts all the time for people. I was at a conference and a gentleman in a Cairo discipline had a very specific kind of prompt that he wanted that it highlighted certain things. And so I went and I mean, I didn't take credit for it, but I did, feed it through ChatGPT and share it. And he said, "Oh my gosh, you're amazing. That's incredible." And I said, "Well, ChatGPT." So ChatGPT can be your good friend as well.
awesome. If my dog is gonna bark again in the background, I just want to apologize. He's here, very eager to go outside. There, you might have heard him. So we had one question that some Joyce said, I do not use soap notes, but do have a template with specific areas. Can I set up a template with my own categories, not a soap note?
Absolutely. You can set it up for DAP. You can set it up like we looked at before when we did the experimentation and we had the primary concern, the history of concerns, the pain. So it doesn't have to be in a soap note style. So what you would want to do there, Joyce, is you would want to go through the method of just adding your prompt into the note box. And then within that note box, then you can just pop your prompt in. So if you write in more of a narrative style where it's just paragraphs rather than separating things out under subheadings, then yeah, that's not a problem at all. You can definitely do that.
All right, amazing. I feel like we have covered a lot and as much as we can in our time that we have today. So we'll wrap it up here. We do have a lot of questions that we still would love to answer. And so as I said, we're going to do our very best to get to as many of those in our follow-up email and or additional documentation we'll share. If we weren't able to answer your question today, please don't hesitate to reach out to our team and or like I said, post it in the Facebook group where you'll get to hear from your peers and community members. But again, thank you so much to everyone for taking this time out of your day and joining us for today's session. Huge thank you to Lauren and Alex and everybody in the chat from the Jane team today as well. It is no small effort to try and get to all of that and all of you for sharing such incredible questions. I think we've had a few people from the team mention this is so helpful for us in terms of like building and continuing to improve Jane and the functionality of not just AI Scribe, but everything, because there were some questions and some comments for things outside of that as well. And as I said, you had the right people on the call today for you. Alex is going to take all of this incredible feedback, take it back to the team. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And we will see you at a next webinar. And you gave us some feedback on some future topics. So hopefully we are able to cover as many of those as possible. So thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. I'll see you in the community and I will see you at the next webinar. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day.